So you got yourself a banging set of headphones. You got yourself an aftermarket cable that you can connect to multiple things. You have some amps, maybe a tube amp. You have your DAC, maybe DACs, and you want to listen on all these devices, but you're tired of plugging and re-plugging in your cables. Am I right? Well, you can switch it up easier than that. You want to find out? Well, grab a drink, sit down, let's talk about it. What's cracking, everyone? My name is Ryan, and today I want to do a simple video talking about a pretty simple device that I think is pretty important in this hobby when it gets to headphones, amps, and DACs, and that is simply a switch box, or a switcher, or an A/B tester, or I mean, that's what it is, right? It's this or that. So let's just call it an or. I'm going to patent that, by the way. I'm sure somebody's probably already had that name. Anyways, so a switch box, as we're going to call it today, is a simple device that allows you to plug in multiple DACs or amps and feed them into other DACs or amps so that you don't have to constantly plug in and re-plug in other cables. It becomes a mess, especially when you're trying to test out different gear. And so that was something that I recently researched myself and got these in. And I appreciate this so much that I want to hopefully pass that on to you guys if this is something that you may want to look into. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, really quick, before I get into all this, I just want to say if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would highly appreciate if you would at this point. I've got a lot of exciting things coming up that I'm going to talk about, including the ZMF closed atrium that is sitting right here. Please subscribe to the channel so you can check that out. And like videos like this if you like them, because you like me, right? Okay, moving on. All right, so the first one I want to talk to you about is this one right here, which, for the sake of the video, this is called a Solupeak or Solupeak U31. I don't know if that's the brand, if that's just the name, not quite sure, but did find this on Amazon. This was around, I think, $40, and it is an RCA only switch box, which hopefully that focuses in there. And I'll show you the kind of front of this as well. So this is RCA only, as I said. It's a 3-in, 1-out, or a 1-in, 3-out. So what that basically means is if you have a DAC, you can plug that in right here with your RCAs, and then you get 3 different options of other DACs and amps that you can plug this into, and then simply have this switcher on the front to switch between whichever DAC or amp that you want to listen to that are plugged in. And then, as I said, it's a 3-in, 1-out. So let's say you had 3 different DACs, but 1 amp, and you wanted to test all those different DACs on this. Of course, this can be for speakers and all that kind of thing too, but for the sake of this hobby, we're referring to DACs and amps. So that is an RCA switch box. No power is required for this. In fact, this is a very simple, just hook it up and you are ready to go as far as the selector on this goes. All right, and so the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the XLR switch box that I got sitting here. Now, this one is the One Little Bear Model MC3. See if that'll focus in there for you guys. This is the back of the device unit. And I got this one on Amazon, I want to say somewhere around $60, $70. Now, this is really nice because if you've got balanced amps and balanced DACs, you can go 2-in, 2-out, you can go 1-in, 2-out. There's also one set of RCAs for ins and outs, so you can go XLR in and 3-out if you want to use the RCAs that way, or an RCA in. I mean, you get it. There's lots of options here. The front of this has a nice switcher, so you can select which source you want to go from as far as the 3 different options of 2XLR or RCA. And then you can go out to either of the XLRs or the RCA. And this thing works flawlessly. Again, this one doesn't have any kind of power that it's required. So it's pretty much just a, I guess, plug and play if you want to call it that. And it works really well. So this is a really nice way to go ahead and use balanced with your DACs and amps. All right, and so as I said, I'm going to do a simple easy demonstration here. I probably don't have to do this for you guys, but for somebody I might, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what I've got here is my RME ADI2 DAC. Love this DAC amp. It's very expensive, but this does have balanced and RCAs on the back. So you can go ahead and plug this in on the in portion. Now you can use whichever one on this particular device. It doesn't really matter. So that's on the in, and then you just simply connect your amp. Make sure you're going left and right and pay attention to what you're doing there. And that's simply all that's to it. Hopefully that will kind of show you what I've done there. That is to connect the in, and then you simply take two more XLR cables on the out to go to whichever balanced amp that you want to go to, or you can take a set of RCA cables like this, and you can take those and you can go out to the back of something like this bad boy here. This is the Felix Echo that I just got into demo and listened to. Love this tube amp, by the way. And so you can simply hook that up through this device and it works just fine. All right, and so then the other option that we have here, or you can do both if you would like, is just like I said with the XLRs, except with RCAs. You just find your, obviously, left, right on your amp. Or excuse me, well, this is an amp too, on your DAC or amp. And then you simply go in to your left and right on this little Solupeak, however you want to pronounce that. Make sure you get that nice and connected. And then simply all you have to do in this one is select whichever source that it's going to come out. So when you get another set of RCAs, 1, 2, or 3 that you plug in here, connect them to that amp that you have, and you are good to go as far as, you know, doing the selection on the front here and switching out between different amps and DACs, or DAC amps. Your options, you get what I'm saying here. That is what that looks like. Hopefully that focuses in. All right, yeah, I realize simple video, but hopefully this helps somebody out, because I know this is something personally I was looking into and did my own research to, you know, locate the things that I wanted here. And these are nice little devices. I gotta say, I have been using both of these because I have enough amps that I need to hook up that I needed actually both options between the XLR and the RCAs. Now these can go way up in price, but they can also go down in price more. And I would caution not to go too cheap on something like this, because cheap components eventually is going to do something to your sound you're not gonna like. And I definitely recommend that when it comes to cables, to at least get yourself some decent enough cables when you're hooking things like this up. I was trying to grab those, they're stuck on something. But the XLR cables I showed you guys, those are world's best cables that I got off Amazon. They make some excellent XLR cables, I gotta tell you. And I think those particular cables that I showed you are around 30-40 bucks. Now you can get some cables pretty cheap on Amazon, and I have tried and tested that, and I won't go back to it because I did get a cheap set of XLR cables that ended up having a channel imbalance when I was listening on an amp. I returned them right away, went back to the world's best cables. I'm good. So, little plug for them. Obviously, they're not paying me to say that, but I can vouch that they make some damn nice cables. And then RCA, same thing. I mean, there's Monoprice, there's other brands out there that make some decent RCA cables. So, do yourself a favor, just make sure that you're getting some good cables if you're going to go this route of wanting to do an AB switcher, switchback, or type device. I thank you all for watching. I'm going to let you guys get back to doing whatever it is that you do. I am going to continue to listen to these on my OR. I'm patented the OR. All right, guys. I will see you in the next one.